Hello everyone and welcome to this playthrough for Pro and Expert Division in the Origin Links tournament. This video is sponsored by Golf Clash and Playdemic, so let's go. We start off with hole number 1, a par 3, which is absolutely possible to make a hole-in-one on. You can see here we are playing with our sniper. Due to the tailwind that we are having, then we're going to use 4 bars of backspin. You kind of do decide, depending on the wind's angle here, in how much backspin you are going to have. We are going to adjust this one for 13 rings, as we do value the sniper for 1 mile per hour per ring. So the reason we do add a little bit more is that we are going to have to play this one downhill, and then we need to add just a tiny bit more in our adjustment. As you can see there, we bounced easily over the rough there, and the thing that to have in mind on this particular hole while bouncing over the bunker and the rough there is that you will have to have a general of 3 bars of backspin. That if you're having crosswind or like sidewind as it's called, tailwind, then you use a little bit more backspin. Headwind, then you reduce the backspin a little bit and have a little bit less. The reason for that is that with headwind, the ball guideline will be compressed as to where it is from the beginning. So when you bounce, you will lose speed of your ball, and then you will most likely cut the rough if you're using the normal like 3 to 4 bars of backspin. Having tailwind, then the ball guideline will be extended, so you will reach further with your first bounce, therefore using more backspin. So this was hole number 1. We're going to go to hole number 2. Hole number 2 is a par 5. And this par 5 here is a tricky one, to be honest, and I would say if you do make an eagle, don't be mad or sad just because you didn't do an albatross. You should be happy with an eagle for this par 5. So, first and foremost, we need to have in mind that we're not going to play right side. Never go right side, because we do not have the wind for it. Sure, a massive tailwind, like northeast tailwind, might, but nah. Not as a start. We're going to go and adjust this one for 4 rings, so we adjust our extra mile as we would be having 8 miles per hour miles per hour in wind. The reason we do over adjust our shot is that, as you can see here, we are playing downhill, so the ball is affected a lot more by the wind. Max topspin combined with max side spin, or at least as much side spin that you can have to the right. Then we do want to apply just a tiny bit of curl to the right to counter for if we do hit our ball great on the left side, so that the curl will counter for that. So we do have the second shot here as well, and as you can see, it's both my accounts that I matched up with, so to show exactly how to play this hole, so you do get repetition here with 2 accounts. So we adjust the second one exactly the same, and we get exactly the same result. We do want to have the result that we are in between the rough and the bunker. They're in the middle, which we are with both. Now you can choose to either you do have a sniper, or you're using a club with a little bit more distance. That is up to you. It depends also on which type of wind that we're going to have, how we're going to design our bag. So with the sniper here, max side spin combined with just a tiny bit of backspin. We're going to adjust this one for 7 rings, yeah, like slightly less. And the reason we go slightly less is that this is a little bit uphill, so we do want to counter for that. So getting it to bounce here and make it fall back down. This is a very tough approach to go to the pin, and the thing to have in mind here while going towards the pin, then you will put the rough in play. So that is something that you need to have in mind. So the more right you go, the more rough you put in place. So you will have to think about it in a risk and reward situation. Okay, I feel confident, I do have a little bit of tailwind, then I can go for the pin. If having headwind, then the ball guideline will be compressed, as we talked about on hole number 1, and then the ball will have a lot less speed while bouncing and could cut the rough and put you in a tricky situation with a chip. With our cataclysm here, we're going to go with exactly the same type of shot. We bounce in itself over here getting it to fall back down and getting it close. We did hit the grate on the left side with a perfect, might been in. Hole number 3 now, and still a hole here on tour number 10, the Greenock Point, and now we're going to go for the green. And with this type of wind, I would say playing from the second tee, if you have side wind or tailwind, then you should try to go for it. If you're having side wind, then you could pull out a ball with power 4, like a jewel ball, dead ball, berserker that has power 5, earth ball or something like that. Give you yourself that distance so you don't have to max overpower your shot. But even though if you have to max overpower a shot to have the chance to go for the green in one, I would do that right away. Sure, you can be unlucky and go into the water, but that will happen very rarely. We do use around 4.5 bar of topspin combined with some side spin to the left. We do adjust our shot as we would be in maximum distance, and maximum distance is 2 miles per hour per ring for our extra mile level 8. And therefore we're going to have to adjust for 11.6, we're going to have to adjust for slightly less than 6 rings. But we're going to adjust for 6 rings here. Sorry, we do choose a Titan. The first shot was 6 rings, and now we're going to adjust for 7 rings instead. We do have to have in mind that this hole, as well as most of the Greenock Point holes, is played downhill. So the ball is going to be affected more by the wind. And I've said that already on the other 2 holes that we have been going through, but that is a fact and something that we need to have in our play. Otherwise we could be very, very short if headwind or very, very long if tailwind. So as you can see here, I didn't use max topspin. It's not necessary, especially with tailwind, because we need our ball to stop as well. But definitely a hole which with side wind or tailwind, then we need to make an eagle. Hole number 4 now, and this is my favorite par 3. The reason it is my favorite par 3 is that I feel very, very confident by going for the rough bump, and it gets very, very close, and many of the times we do make a drop for unholy one. And of course you build up a good confidence when you go into a hole where you feel that you can ace 1 out of 3 times. Our opponent here is choosing an approach that I do not like. The reason I do not like that is that you put so many obstacles in play. You do put basically all the bunkers in play, and also you put yourself in the risk that if you slightly bounce to the right or slightly bounce to the left, you put yourself into the rough. And if you're coming in too hot, then you go into the rough behind. We are going to go with our sniper, and no matter what type of distance we have with our sniper, we're going to go with 2 bars of topspin. And with having some type of crosswind, we're going to go with 1 bar of side spin to counter for the crosswind that we are having. 5.7, we are in basically minimum distance of our club, but still we're going to adjust this one as we would be in maximum distance of our club, plus a little bit more. So we're going to adjust this one for 6 rings. And again, the reason for it, we are playing downhill and the ball is affected more by the wind. Make it bounce there on the rough, and we roll this one in for an hole in one. So the key with the green here is the reason I want to follow the right side, and as you pause and rewind a little bit, you can see that I want my ball guideline, and it's very important that my ball guideline follows the right side of the green, is that that path takes you directly up to the pin. If you aim on the left side, even though the ball guideline looks like it's going to go in, then there is in that skinny part of the middle of the green that push yourself to the right, and that will make you miss on the right side many of the times if you play on the left side of the green. So hole number 5 here, already halfway through, and now we do have some really good wind here with a snow globe ball. And with this type of wind in a tournament, I might try to go over, especially if I would be having an Apocalypse level 5 or Apocalypse level 6 or 7. Then I would try to reach over the water and make a bounce towards the pin in one. But now we're going to aim up just by the brown 3 there on the bottom. Max topspin, max side spin. We're going to adjust for 5 rings. Even though we are in kind of a medium distance with our driver, then we do want to adjust for our club to be in maximum distance due to, again, we are playing downhill. So we're going to land up there nicely, and then for the second shot it's going to be very, very important with wood club with distance. So we're going to go with our second account here. So we actually are playing this hole with two of our accounts. Max topspin, max side spin, the same type of way. As you can see here now I'm aiming a little bit further than the brown 3 there on the bottom. And the reason for that is that I want to give myself a little bit more distance, and I want to actually see, like, will I hit the rough or will I not? So 5 rings, and then we are just going to hit this one perfect, and we're going to let it be pushed down. As you can see, this bounce went very, very high, but in the end we landed just by the rough. We may want to drag that adjustment a little bit down, due to if we're having tailwind in the tournament, then we do not want to risk going into the rough on top. That will be, sure, it will be possible to reach from that distance from the rough, but it's going to be very, very tough. So max side spin. It's important to have a ball with a good amount of side spin, wood club with a good amount of curl, and also distance. So side spin max, and slightly, yeah, like not even half a bar of backspin. We're going to adjust this one for 3 rings, and now we're going to go max curl as we can have, and this, have in mind that this is phone curl, and we want this one to be bounced over there and fall back down. Have in mind here that if you're having headwind on your shot, like for example you do have 10 miles per hour in headwind, then you kind of want to add a little bit of a little bit of topspin instead. So just tiny bit of topspin due to the bounce that you're going to have. So again, headwind, the ball guide line will be compressed, and tailwind, the ball guide line will be extended. So we're going to go with almost 1 bar of backspin here, a little bit more than half a bar. Going to adjust this one for 5.6, so exactly as our ring guides do say. And then we're going to go for max curl, and of course we do have max side spin to the right as well. So we do want this one to curl in here, and we do want our ball to fall down here towards the pin, and we're getting it kind of close, coming in a little bit short, but in the end we're going to be happy with the eagle, because this is not a common albatross hole. So hole number 6, it's time for hole number 6, and this is a must eagle in my opinion. I'm going to show you 2 ways. First, we're going to bounce over the rough there, and you can basically use whatever type of ball that you do want. As you can see, where we are in around minimum to medium distance of our club, and we're going to use 3.5 bar of topspin combined with 4 bars of side spin to the right. We do want the second bounce to bounce in the rough there, and now while adjusting, we're going to adjust for 3.5 rings. And you know, even though we are in minimum / medium distance, we need to adjust this shot for being in maximum distance due to that we're playing downhill. So we're going to bounce here now, and we're going to bounce in the rough here to roll out on the green. And that is a shot that I'm very happy with, and a shot that is very common to play this hole. Have in mind, having tailwind makes the ball guide line be extended, and I know I repeat myself a lot, but it's very important to do so to actually explain that when you want to hit that rough and you do have tailwind, then of course the ball will have another a higher speed while coming into that rough, which can make, if you are not adjusting for that, then it can make yourself miss the rough and go into the bunker on top. Or having headwind, the ball guide line will be compressed and you need to use more topspin to clear the rough. So as you can see here, we're actually trying out a slice here. We're going for it, and the thing that we do forget to do is that first and foremost, we do not have the backspin on our club. If you do have, for an example, a driver with a good amount of backspin, and I would say 5, 6, 7 bars, depending if you're having tailwind or headwind. And of course you need to adjust for the wind. We did only adjust for the slice, but did forget to adjust for the wind. Then we went long on that one, but it's absolutely possible to slice it in. And if you do have a good amount of side wind to the right, then you can actually curl it in as well. Hole number 7, the last part 3, and we're going to go for the rough bump here. Important to stay away from the rough and from the bunk there on the left. We're going to adjust this one as we would be in maximum distance of our driver, due to that we are playing downhill. So we're going to go with slightly more than 3 rings with our extra mile. Now we go with a good amount of curl. That is because we want to find out, okay, even though that our ball guide line is aimed on the right side of the pin, do we need curl to kind of counter for that? No, we kind of don't. As you can see that we do get the correct speed, that we are happy with, but we do not get it towards the pin and in a straight way, so we do go to the left side there. Still same type of shot here as we're going to do. A 1.5 bar backspin, max side spin. Now we do aim up just by the pin there, and 7 miles per hour is 3.5 rings, as we would be in maximum distance. We're adding just a tiny little bit too, and now we're going to go just slight amount of curl to just counter for the little push that we're going to have from the wind. Still, in the end, we do not need any curl. That we can have as a fact. So without the curl, we would have been close with both of our shots, but we take it, and we're definitely going to go for the hole-in-one on this hole, on hole number 7. Hole number 8 then. Hole number 8, and hole number 8 is a hole that I've been lucky enough to make many eagles, because I do love the thorn. So when going into this hole, I would say that you need to have the thorn in your bag, and you need to have the Saturn as well. Both clubs with a good amount of backspin. The only reason you could basically go with whatever whatever clubs you do want is if you're going to play it as our opponent is doing, playing up short. That is definitely a way to play. It's not the best way to get the eagle, but it's definitely the best way to secure a birdie. So as you can see, playing up short, and the thing that our opponent wants here is, as you can see there on the end of the visual there, is that you do have an open shot towards the pin, and with your wood club there should be having an easy time to go for the pin. The reason we choose a Titan here and not choosing like a Marlin, Quasar, Navigator is because we do want power 3. We do want the distance for our second shot. So even if we reach up there to the top, we're still going to have a problem if we're not having the distance for our second shot. Going to adjust this one for as you can see, 6 rings, which is the same as 12 miles per hour. Max side spin to the right with 1 bar of top spin, and we do want our ball again to be pushed up there towards the top for having a thorn towards the pin. And this shot might be looking very tricky as we do have a lot of water in the way, but in the end, as the pin stands so short, it's so important for you that if you want to go for the eagle, want to be a bit more aggressive, then you need to choose the right set of clubs for this particular hole. So as you can see here, the sniper shouldn't be a problem whatsoever to put himself close to the green. Cut the rough a little bit, rolls out to the fairway. Have no problem whatsoever to chip that one in. So okay, we're going to go for our thorn here. First checking, okay, how much can we adjust before we're going to go over to our Goliath there. So that is something that we check directly. Max backspin. We want to aim this one up so it is just by the edge there on the left side of the cup. The reason for that is that we do have a little bit of wind like that points a little bit to the left as well. We're going to adjust this one for 7 rings. According to our guide, we're going to go for 6 rings, but the reason we're going to go 7 rings is that we need to over adjust to counter for the compressed ball guide line that we're going to have. So as you can see here, with headwind and with backspin, we're going to have a much less ball guide line than it actually shows from the beginning. That is because the first bounce is going to be so much affected by the wind by using both the backspin and headwind in the same time. I know we've been talking about that, but I want to go through it every single time so we do not make the mistake and forget about it in the tournament. So, okay, and then we go to hole number 9, and this is, I would say, the hardest par 5 to make an eagle on. I would say it requires some kind of side/tailwind at least for your second shot to be able to reach for the green in 2. If you have a headwind for your second shot, then you can say bye-bye to having the possibility to reach for the green in 2. We can choose 2 ways to play this hole. Either we do play up very short and just forget about reaching for the green in 2 and then give ourselves a chip or a chip with our wedge, or a short iron towards the pin for an eagle. We are going to, of course, try, especially now when we don't know the wind that we're going to have for our second shot, max topspin on our extra mile combined with max side spin to the left, at least as much side spin that we can use while using max topspin. Going to adjust this one for 2 rings, and then we're going to go back and take our shot. So we're going back, taking our shot, and going to go with slight amount of curl to the left to just counter for if we do hit our ball great on the right side with having to overpower. Slight amount of overpower, not much, and we want ourselves to bounce there, and then we want to bounce past there and roll as close to the top there as possible. As you can see, we still have a lot of distance, or I would say a lot of room to go even further with our drive, but the tricky part is that if you try to push it too hard, you can put both the rough and the bunker in play, and then you definitely can't reach for the green in 2. If having tailwind for your first shot, then you can try to go over the rough and the bunker on the right side, bounce it over with just 1 bar of backspin, then you will place yourself perfectly for going for the green in 2. So our opponent here look at it as, okay, I can't reach to the green in 2. And then makes the call that he has to put himself up as close as possible to the top to have a wedge / short iron towards the pin. And that is the common play if you do not reach for the green in 2. We do have a Cataclysm level 5 here, and we of course going to try it. We either want to hit the rough just on top of the bunker there in the middle, or we want to hit the big piece of rough just in between the 2 bunkers there. Very tough shot, but it's absolutely possible. The thing that we do want, of course, is that if we do have distance, then we want to bounce over the bunker in the middle. But have in mind that you can't bounce over that bunker with topspin, because then you will for sure go to the back there in the bunker or in the rough. So we're going to go max overpower. And we hit it great, and now we of course want to cut some piece of rough before going towards the pin. We do still cut a little bit too less of the rough there, but in the end that is one play you can go, especially if you are so far away, but that is a very tricky line to go with, so don't be mad at yourself if you go into the rough there on the back. But that is a very short rough iron shot and definitely a good opportunity for an eagle. So okay, this hole again with the second shot, if you do want to bounce over the bunker in the middle, then you need to use no backspin or topspin, or 1 to 2 bars of backspin depending on how much tailwind that you do have. So this was hole number 9, everyone, in the Origin Links tournament, Pro and Expert division, and the playthrough. This is a various type of wind, so we're going to have different type of wind in the tournament, but it's a good look for you to see how the shots are played with various type of wind, and also with explanations with that. Check out the description down below. You get the direct links to the specific holes down below, so you don't have to watch it all if you're just looking for advice for one specific hole. The video is sponsored by Golf Clash and Playdemic, and I want here in the end wish you the best of luck in the Origin Links tournament.